We just got finished upgrading our fuel delivery system on Christine, our 56 Bel Air. We took out a new micro pump and replaced it with a Carter Rotary Vane pump, and we got better results. We upgraded the filtration as well, made some adjustments to the carburetor, and then took it out on a road test. If you're interested in seeing how we got all this done, stay tuned. All right, good morning. Bill here, restoring Christine. Christine, she's running well. I'm down, finally to the point where I can start fine-tuning things. I'm really happy to be at this point. I can't tell you, I've been thrashing to get this car ready to get to Cruising the Coast, which is in the a little bit after the first week of October. We're going to be there from October 8th through October 12th, I think. We're going to have 2 cars this year. I've registered 2 cars now 2 years in a row and missed it last year. But this year we're going to have Christine, our 56 Bel Air, and we're going to have our 71 Cutlass convertible that we've been taking for the last almost 10 years now. Christine used to go to Cruising the Coast. 2007 was the first year I went, and then the last year she was there was 2016. So it's going to be a nice, happy return for Christine. But anyway, we're fine-tuning the engine right now, and I'm happy to be at this point, but I've discovered a few things that I need to sort out, and one of them is with the fuel system. So let me show you what's going on. This is the same power plant that was in Christine when I bought her 20 years ago. 20 years ago this past July. And you can see there's no mechanical fuel pump. The mechanical fuel pump was off this car, and it had a Mallory fuel pump, Mallory canister filter. It had a pressure regulator before, a 750 Holley double pumper Holley. There was way too much fuel for this motor through that double pumper, but I detuned it. I put a smaller carburetor on it. It's a lot happier with this one. But way back when I had that Mallory, we were at Cruising the Coast, as a matter of fact, and this is very early on when I had Christine. So I'd only had her a couple of years, and that Mallory cracked. It was on a frame rail, and a passenger frame rail, and it cracked. And when it cracked, it left me stranded, but fortunately I was able to get to a local AutoZone that was about 6 blocks away. I was able to buy whatever fuel pump they had, which at the time was a Mr. Gasket fuel pump, a little micro fuel pump. So I put it on the car, and I already had that Mallory filter, and I'm not quite sure if that Mallory filter was upstream or downstream of the Mallory pump. But when I put it in, it had plenty of pressure, car ran fine, and I never really thought about it. So for the next, I don't know, 6 years or so, I ran Christine with that fuel pump, and it was just one of these micro fuel pumps, real small. Never thought about it because it never did. Christine never gave me any trouble as far as fuel was concerned. So when I went to go rebuild this motor, tearing Christine down, I decided I was going to put another one on. I was just going to say, well, all right, that fuel pump worked fine, so let me put another one just like it. So that's what I did. And on this passenger frame rail, I've got underneath here this Mr. Gasket 12S fuel pump, and it comes with a filter that goes right on the forward end of it. So I mentioned I don't know where that Mallory filter was before. That's a brand new fuel line all the way to a brand new fuel tank. I don't remember where it was before, because now what I'm finding is I've got diminishing fuel pressure. My fuel pressure in here is pretty low. Let me turn it on. You can hear it because when it runs. So you can hear it running. It's pumping 5.5 pounds of pressure. Okay, this Holley's supposed to have 7 pounds of pressure. Let me turn this off. But this Holley's supposed to have 7 pounds of pressure. And I noticed I ran a low on fuel. I only put 4 gallons in the tank to start her, and then I had trouble, like most people do. I had trouble, and I spent a lot of time idling in the garage trying to tune things, trying to get things set. We were chasing a valve train noise. We got that sorted out, but I went through 4 gallons over a period of weeks, and I'm sure that it holds a gallon or so in the system that you can't get to. So, but anyway, I ran it low, and when I pulled it into the garage, I turned the key off, and went about working on things, and then when I went to go back to restart it, I heard the fuel pump just drawing air. So, oh, okay, well, I need to put more fuel in it. So I took my gas can, went and got some more, and then came back here, filled it up, turned the fuel pump on again, still sucking air. It wouldn't prime. It would not prime. I had to climb underneath it. I had to remove the fuel hose, let it drain out. I mean, pump it into a container, and then once the pump had prime, hooked it back up, and then I had fuel pressure. But I noticed that my fuel pressure was like only 2 pounds, 3 pounds at the carburetor when I first did that. So I started it and it ran, but what I was having is a problem. I've only run the car just a few miles, but I already noticed that with the fuel, what happens is when you, like at a stop sign or something, and you start accelerating, it wants to go right up to about 3,000 RPMs, 3,500 RPMs, it starts to fade. And then you let up and it catches up. So I'm pretty sure that we're chasing a fuel delivery issue. So that little micro pump is not delivering enough pressure. I'm sure it's not delivering what I need for this motor. So I've got the solution in my hand now. So this is a Carter Rotary Vane pump. And this is, let's see if I can find the model number. There we go. P4594. So it's sold, some listings show it as a marine pump, but this pump is supposed to deliver 7 psi steady pressure. So it's rated, I think, between 6 and 8. So it's an average of 7. If we can get that, but this is a much more robust pump. Now I've already had this package open. I've already did some pre-assembly, so to speak, just to make sure that all the pieces, parts, I knew where they were all going. But let me show you the pump itself. So the pump sets up like this. It's got a bracket. The bracket was detached. It has 3 rubber vibration isolation mounts, 1, 2, 3, and the pump bolts to this. So these pumps tend to be a little rough with their mechanism. So they're a little more, that micro pump has just a little gentle buzz, which I don't mind. But these things sometimes can thunk around. So this Carter pump has this nice isolation pad, these isolation pads on the bracket. So even though I've got this mounted up right now, what I'm going to do is I need to take my pump off. I need to cut the fuel line back, as I'm going to show you what else I'm going to do. But I'm going to mount this bracket to the frame and then mount the pump to the bracket. Then they've got a couple of brass fuel barbs. There they go. So got a couple of brass fuel barbs that's going to go on there, and this is all going to be connected with hoses and clamps. So it comes with brass fuel barbs. It comes with a whole plethora of the fuel injection type, the little tension ring clamps. It comes with a whole bunch of those. It comes with a whole bunch of bolts that we're not going to use to mount it to the frame because I can't get to the inside because it's a tube. So we're going to do that, and then the last thing we're going to do is leading into it, according to these pump, the manufacturer, the pump needs a filter on the forward end. So what I was mentioning earlier was that I didn't know where that Mallory canister filter was, because what you need is you need a filter. They tell you want a filter before this pump, but the issue is this pump's not designed to really pull. It's designed more to push. So once you get it primed, I think you're okay, but I'm pretty sure I had a similar type pump to this on Christine when I first got her. It was very similar to that. So I'm thinking that once the pump is running, as long as I don't have too restrictive a filter on the forward end, and here's the filter that's going to be, this is a 100 micron filter. So this is a big open screen. It's meant to catch big trash, not little minute particles. So there's going to be another filter downstream of the pump, which I have, and that's going to be on the underneath the hood. So instead of relying on that one, what I believe is a paper filter at the micro pump, I'm going to have this 100 micron, then the Carter fuel line, then underneath the hood, I'm going to have another filter that's a little bit more, a little smaller particle size. So that's what we're going to do. Let's just start bolting things together. Now that I have a flashlight underneath here, you can see it better. So there's a 12S. It's screwed to the frame here with 2 screws. I'm going to pull that off. Here's the filter. and I've got to make sure that the Carter will fit in between this point and this point. If not, I'm going to have to cut these back, but it's going to be probably tight. So what I might have to do is I'm looking, and this bracket, I might be able to, you know, this bracket looks like it's going to be tight. I don't want this fuel pump to be too low, so I might have to move this bracket over here in order to put this in. So I might have to cut some of this back. I'm okay with that. And here's a brake line that's out of the way. Look at that. Oh man, I custom bent it to get it over the fuel pump. What a shame. Okay, well, there's gonna be a little bit of residual ugly from this. You can see I got my shutoff valve. Vice grip holding the fuel coming siphoning out of the tank, even though that's got this is below the pickup point. The pickup point is above this, but siphon action in the line will allow this to flow fuel. So it was dripping. I had to clamp it off. I mean, it was flowing pretty good. So that's good. So you have net positive head here, net positive suction head, which is good for this pump. So as long as we get over that hump in the back, we ought to have positive pressure here. But what I need to do is I'm looking at where this pump, as far as height goes, and if I put it with just centered on a frame rail, you can kind of see it's like that's a little too low for my liking. So I want to get it, and I mean that's like with the top bar at the top of the frame rail. So I want to get it a little higher. I'm going to put it to where about that bracket is about at least, you know, maybe like a quarter to a half inch above the top of the frame rail, and that way these two electrical contacts are not so low. I wish they'd have put these electrical contacts some other sort of which way, but that's the way it comes. So I'm going to mount it about like that, and I need to mount it clear of this bracket, the floor beam. So it probably means I'm going to have to trim this fuel line back some, and I'm all right with that. One thing I want to point out before I mount it is, you see how there's 6 holes? I have the little grommets. The pump is a singular direction, so it's directional. So the pump, you can rotate it 180 degrees, but you need to move those grommets. Those grommets, you have to insert them anyway, so you just insert them in the other 3 holes, and it'll face the other way. So let me go ahead and get this mounted, and we'll take it to the next step. Completely installed. All right, let's see, the light's kind of blinding it. But I had to cut my line back to here, put a little hose. There's the 100 micron filter, a little short, little stubby piece. Oh, need to tighten that. Okay, we'd have found that quickly. And then hose back to here. I got my leads hooked up. I got my ground to the chassis. I have my positive lead crimped. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that, and then this will be done. Then I'll put the filter in the other side. Turns out I didn't forget to tighten it. That was a bad clamp. It had crushed the worm, the strap with worm gear goes in. So I had it tight, but it was like slipping. So when I went to tighten it, it wouldn't tighten anymore. I'll replace the clamp. So now let's get underneath the hood. Need to get the light set up. Show you what's going on here. But, all right, my fuel line comes in here. So I'm going to break it down here, which is well below the header. Let me get it to where it's not exaggerated. Yeah, that's a good 4 inches clear from the bottom of the header. I don't want to put it up here in case I get a fuel leak, and that's where it's going to go with where the heat is. So I'm going to break it down here. There it is, nice and happy. Got it all the way hooked back up to the carburetor, and there's a pressure gauge. So I'm going to turn the key and see what kind of pressure I get. Air in the line. I'm going to have to bleed it. All right, the pump itself is low, so it didn't have any fuel in the bowl for the pump to flow. So it was dry. As long as the pump has fuel in it, it should draw a little bit. But I had zero pressure, so what I did is I cracked the line open, let it flow for a little bit, and now I'll put it back together. So all that air in the line was causing trouble. So let's go ahead and see what we got now. And I'm looking for, hopefully, straight up is 6, and then 7 is just a little bit to the right. There you go. So it's getting a little bit below 7, but it ought to be steady. You hear that off-idle stumble? Valve train's quiet. Very quiet. All right, we got it this far. Open up, it chokes. When the secondaries open up, I can hear it and it chokes. So I'm not sure what that is. We'll figure it out. But when I ease it along, it does all right. It'll still continue to steadily climb. But that was about 4,500 RPMs. You know, I'm not going to push Christine more than 5. With this 411 gear in the back, you know, it needs some RPMs. I guess we're one step closer. So we got the fuel system upgraded, and now, you know, I got to figure out what that secondary bog is. I'm not all dialed in with my timing yet. I'm still playing around with the vacuum advance. So there's that, and then when I'm at cruising speed, I'm going to do that test where you have a mighty vac on the vacuum advance, a long hose. You run a long hose, and then you with a vacuum gauge, and you watch where the vacuum is, actually reading on the motor, and you're at cruise speed, and then you increase the advance on the distributor, the vacuum advance, to see what the motor wants. And I think that might take out some of the laziness I've got when I'm at part throttle. But I don't know what to make of that secondary bog. I'm going to have to dig into that a little bit. But that's going to do it for today. That's going to do it from here. I've still got some big, huge news coming up. Huge, huge, huge news. I'm waiting to tell you. But it's big. It is big. So anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. I do hope you liked it. If you got something out of it, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, if you're enjoying my channel, I'd love a subscription. So until I see you next time, please take care of yourself. Cheers.